How long were you in the hospital?
I was in the hospital for 3 days. And then I moved back to the hospital, or to the hotel near the hospital that the hospital owns. They let me stay there. I kind of stepped down to the hotel, which was, I think, a good thing for me. So I wasn't in the hospital. I could get more rest, but I was close by, and I didn't need them for anything. By that time, I was just on some oral painkillers.
Were they monitoring you to make sure that you?
No. In fact, I've never seen them since I had surgery. Although they've asked for some blood and urine a couple of times, just to follow up.
Now you did become sick several weeks later with it turned out a completely unrelated illness, but they even paid for that, didn't they? I mean, they were concerned that it might be related.
Well, it was the day I got home from the hospital. I got the flu. And you can imagine that was not fun. I was holding this pillow to my incision while I was getting sick. It was horrible. That was worse than the surgery, I think. And I called the transplant center. I called their hotline, and I said, I don't know how I had the presence of mind to do that because I was really sick. And I said, what should I do? And they said, go to the emergency room. And I wanted to have that because I wanted them to cover me. And it wasn't anything to do with surgery. It wasn't related at all. But
they did pay your bill.
They generously covered me and took care of me. Yes.
And let's go back to you. You've just met, I mean, an incredibly moving story. You've met your donor's family. Have you kept in touch with them?
Yes, I do. Like I said, I just this May went to high school graduation. In October, I went to football game, and they have come here to Athens there in April. There was a 5K here for promoting organ tissue donation, and David, the one that's in high school, he received a scholarship through the Miracles for Life organization that put on the race there. So that was fun. That it was Art and David and Jacob were able to come down to Athens. So, and we plan on meeting more often and talking.
And I do know that meeting, we talked about that in the last show, the families meeting, meeting the recipient or meeting a living donor can be a little bit perilous because people can get attached in inappropriate ways. But it sounds like, and that was always the fear years ago, but it seems like, and not everyone, not even the majority of people opt to actually meet. And it has to, both of them have to be consenting, both the donor and the recipient. Right. But it sounds like in both your cases, it worked out more than well, and it was absolutely the right thing to do. You'd probably both agree on that, wouldn't you?
Yes.
It was the right thing. Now, since then, are you on a special diet? What do you have to do to maintain your health beyond what we all have to do to maintain our health?
I have my blood taken once a month with everything sent to Columbus to my transplant team.
And we should repeat, because you mentioned that with blood, with a complete blood workup, you can. This is an absolute sign of liver function. It will show if your liver is not functioning properly. It shows up in blood work immediately.
Yes, actually, I was transplanted in February of '01. In July of '01, in my blood work, they found something, called me, and I was having mild to moderate rejection up to my medicine. So, like I said, they can find out through blood work for a liver. And so I have that once a month, and I take my medicine twice a day, and the one thing that you can't eat is grapefruit. It counteracts with your medicine, which is not a problem for me because I don't like it. So, and then I personally don't like salt very much anyway, since I was on a low salt, no salt diet, and
your entire life.
Yeah, and just keeping up health of your body and being aware, drinking lots of water.
And the medication you take doesn't have debilitating side effects?
No.
What about your future? What about having children? Can organ recipients have children?
Yes, they can. You talk to your transplant team, and I'm pretty sure it's at least a year. You are, well, if you're on a certain medicine, which I'm on one of them, you are weaned off of the medicine because that medicine could have birth defects in a child. But for me, I'm not right there at that point in my life right now, but I'm thinking maybe down the road that I would adopt a kid, because there's plenty of children out there that need adopted, and I think that would be my route. Right now, that's my decision.
And Cynthia, you too have been very healthy since you jog. You were telling us a funny story about being chased by a cow on your rural road near your house.
That's right. I didn't know cows chased people, but this one was after me.
And you can even outrun a cow now. So
that wasn't hard.
What would the two of you say about organ donation? And let's start with you, Cynthia, because you have thought this through. Actually, both of you have thought this through so much, because you were living with your illness your entire life, and clearly you have thought through organ donation way more than the average person, because you actually decided to donate a kidney. What would you tell people about organ donation?
I would tell them to really consider it carefully, to talk to as many people as they can. There are websites. There's a website that's called livingdonorsonline.org, and there's a message board with a lot of discussion there. You know, when I was going through the testing, I wondered if I were told that I could not donate, would I somehow feel relieved that this burden that I had put on myself, I didn't have to do it anymore, or would I feel disappointed? And I came to the conclusion that I would have felt really very disappointed, and that it wasn't a burden at all, that it was a privilege. And so I think that's the kind of thing that I would talk to a potential or prospective donor about. What would this mean to you? And
now we should say a prospective living donor, which is still very unusual. You can become an organ donor. You can decide to become an organ donor. And most people who do that decide not to do it as a living donor, but to do it in death. And talk about that a little bit, Morgan, and talk a little bit about what that's meant to your life, that a family decided that their teenage son who died in an automobile accident should become a donor in death.
Well, also, they knew that that's what he wanted also on his driver's license, because he obviously said yes to organ and tissue donation when asked. And what it means to me is anybody that is an organ donor is a hero. He is my hero. You're a hero. Everybody that is an organ donor, I mean, in my eyes, and coming from a recipient, will say the same thing.
And we should say in Ohio, it's very easy to become an organ donor. Every time you go to get your driver's license renewed, they ask you if you want to be an organ donor, and you should really probably talk to your family about it if that's something that you want to do. And I would imagine, Cynthia, you of all people, I mean, this is something you certainly want to do in death as well as in life too. Yes. And it's something that you should let your family know, because it's the family ultimately who is going to be there when you die, who the doctors come to, and who has to make those decisions. So you should everyone should let their family know if they want to be an organ donor. And this is something that's hard for families to talk about, but they certainly should talk about it. Morgan, let's end with you, because I mean, everyone can see your glowing face. This happened when you were 19. You had the liver transplant when you were 19. Yes. You are now 25?
Yes.
So for 6 years, and describe what that's been like. What can you do now that you couldn't do when you were a teenager? Because you're so much healthier.
Well, like I said, I wasn't too bad off my whole life. Like, it went down gradually, but I've graduated from Hocking College, and I've graduated from Ohio University. I'm able to live my life past 19 is pretty much, that sums it up.
What do doctors say about your prognosis? Because organs, again, you know, I mean, your body is constantly fighting a transplant, because, so what have doctors told you about your prognosis?
That it looks good in the long run, and my future looks good, and just to take care of my body, and I think I pretty much am trying to do that, and I'm doing it pretty good.
Well, I want to thank both of you so much, because this is something, I mean, organ donation is so important, it's so easy to do, and we can all make a gift of our bodies after we die. I mean, life is something that goes on after we die, and we can make sure that our own bodies go on, even parts of our bodies can be of use after we die. I want to thank our guests for sharing their experiences. For upcoming episodes, viewer feedback, and links to important information on health, log on to our website at the address that appears on your screen. Thanks for joining us on Health Vision, a production of WOUB Center for Public Media.